was just hearing a song. It was a Nick Lachey song. It was a throwback. I'm going to wait on that for now. And go straight into here. That chapter has a new video out.
I left the 3:30.
Okay, I just noticed it has 222K views, and it was just 12:22 on the clock.
I'm trying to call my boy. He doesn't answer. The car's gone. So what are we missing right now that you know of? The white already.
Careful, baby. No, those are green beans. Those are not for you. No, those are green beans. Those are not for you.
Monday, a father arrived home to find his son missing, and eyes soon went to the very people he'd been in conflict with. What they did to his son that night, we don't exactly know. We may never. But it didn't end that night. They kept him alive. The search began to try to find him, but initially they were coming up empty.
There's two stories, so it's either you were 100% involved and you orchestrated this, or somebody did it on his own and then told you about it. What happened?
There wouldn't be an answer for 6 long weeks, and it would be discovered that what they did to him was far more horrifying than they could have ever.
Hi, Mario. How are you?
Hey, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this old video, a father was coming home expecting to find his son. Instead, he found something horrifying. Little drops of blood, the scene of something dark. Someone had come into the home while he was gone, but the person it was and why would only be found in the most twisting and sort of idiotic way, because you don't really know what their intentions were, but at the end of the day, intentions don't matter, because what happened was horrifying. Now, you and I, let's give it a go. Shortly after 2 p.m., right on June 27th, 2016, a man named Ken Heisler, he pulled into the driveway of his home in the city of Santa Clara, Utah. Santa Clara is a city in Washington County, southwestern Utah, home to around 7,500 folk. It borders Arizona, and it's straight out of a western, surrounded by these deserts and scrubland. It's a big old country. Ken had just finished up this 10-hour shift as he pulled into his quiet cul-de-sac this afternoon, coming home to the house he shared with his wife, Debbie, and his son, David. Now, when he arrived home, Ken noticed, right, that the house, it was completely empty. Now, his wife, Debbie, she was actually out of town at this time, but his son, David, well, see, Ken knew that David was not in work this very day, so arriving home, he was expecting to find him there, just chilling out. David was gone, and his car was gone. This was sort of slightly unusual, as David was a bit of a homebird. When he wasn't at work, he would chill around the house, play video games, whatever. He wasn't much of a social butterfly, wanted to be out and about. But whatever, David had a young daughter, maybe he had gone off to whatever, possibly. But his daughter was actually also out of town with Debbie. So, Ken chilled out after work, he had a shower, he popped into the pool. Very, very nice. It's a summer's day, so it's hot as balls. But after being home for about an hour, he really started to wonder, shit, where is David? This is kind of weird. And he tried calling him and texting him to no response. His phone was off. He started to look around the home, and that's when he began to notice that, actually, shit, a couple of things were missing. Debbie's jewelry box. She had a jewelry box about yay big, filled with all sorts of hell shite. An iPad was missing. And looking around the home, when he got into the garage, he stopped dead in his tracks. He saw what looked like dark stains on the floor. There was also those very same stains in the kitchen. He tried calling David again, but again was getting no answer. Again, no answer. Again, ditto. He called Debbie, who was on the other side of the country, saying, I think we might have just been robbed and I cannot find our son anywhere. His car was gone, there was blood on the floor, and he noticed what seemed to be sand all over the floor, which made absolutely no sense. A neighbor then called over and they both started nosing around the house, seeing if they could find anything else out of place. And in fact, when you watched the body cam, it seemed like the neighbor talked more than Ken did. But it would be just after 4 p.m. that Monday, June 27th, that Ken dialed 911.
Okay, so I came home from work. I left at 3:30 out of work. I come home about 2:30 today, and closed the garage, took a shower, went to the pool, came back into the house. So about an hour later, I noticed that my wife's stuff is missing. The iPad is missing. And there's blood on the ground on the floor. And this is fresh blood. And I tried to call my boy. He doesn't answer. Car's gone. It's going straight to voice. Like it's all. And his wallet's still in the cabinet. And the TV's on. His slipper is here in the living room where it's Jimmy in his room. This one had a bunch of shit here. And there's blood in the kitchen. And then a couple other peculiar points are his room is down here. He left TV's left with the video game on. So what are we missing right now that you know of? My wife already my wife's jewelry box. All kinds of things in there. Okay, so it could have been her that now. Where do you see your son is? You don't know. Well, I called his work and he's got scheduled to work today. And he goes to voicemail. Yeah. When he called in, he's chill. But his car's gone. But he's right. His wallet and his driver's license. There's no money in the wallet. But he got paid yesterday. He got paid yesterday.
That bird.
Something horrific.
His Maine Coon cat.
So who is David Heisley?
Fully. Big happy.
Today's video, my friends, it's all about a very interesting fella who's doing a lot of, the clackety-clackities online in not a very good way. He was trying to find out everything he could about a woman he'd once been very close with. All of that would have some real-world, horrifying style consequences. But get a load of this, right? You don't have to have shared a single thing online for there to be some real-world ramifications. That's because you are tracked every time you log on, whether it's your phone or your laptop. Someone.
Anyway, hold on.
And it is today, and lately, folks, the internet does seem kind of after David was born, and Ken, in fact, took his marriage wasn't long for this world. They divorced 1 year after David was born, and Ken, in fact, took full custody himself, raised his boy on his own son. For a time, anyways. Because when David was 5 years of age, Ken met Debbie. Now, this was when they were still back living in New York, and I'm not really too sure how close David was with his biological mum, Mary, but regardless, Debbie, she became his more than anything mom. They became super close. Ken would later say that his son was closer with his stepmom than she was with himself. They were inseparable. They had a great family relationship, the three of them, ending up in Santa Clara, Utah. David grew up as a quiet guy, but well loved. He had friends, he was popular, and people adored him, but someone who kept themselves to themselves. When David was 24 years of age, he began dating a woman named Kelly Perry. This was something he again kept to himself. Ken and Debbie were never introduced to any of David's girlfriends, but from those who knew of their relationship, they seemed very happy together, and things were, once again, very, very good. David was just somebody who got on sort of like with everybody, But then one day, out of the blue, Debbie got a call from a family friend saying, "Congratulations, you're going to be a grandparent." That was news to Debbie. That's how private David was. His parents hadn't even met Kelly before They found out they were having a baby together. That soon changed, though, and Kelly became a big part of the Heisler family, moving in with them for a time. The four of them, soon to be five, all living together under one roof. And five it would become when little Mariah was born, once again becoming the apple of Ken and Debbie's eye. Things were once again continuing as they had been. Great, till Mariah was about 3 years of age. That's when Kelly and David started having some problems in the relationship, and there was some drugs usage on Kelly's side, and David just wouldn't have it. That was, as they say that, and Kelly would move out, in with this gruesome twosome of Frank, Hollywood McCard, and Tammy Freeman. Now those two, definitely the gruesome twosome for sure, as you will see. They were just like roommates, Frank and Tabby, they were roommates. But, well, they were a good bit older than Kelly for sure, and like, as influences go, they were like, just not a good one, I guess. Drugs, basically, and I ain't talking paracetamol. Yeah, and when to talking like David, he was absolutely heartbroken over this, seeming to lose Kelly, the woman he adored. But more than anything, he was going to put little Mariah, their daughter, like first. She came first, always. Mariah would end up staying with her dad, granddad, and grandma, and that's who, in fact, she was with when David went missing. Mariah had gone to New York with her grandmother. Debbie was also from New York, and they were visiting family at the time. That's where they were. No one had a clue where David was. He worked at a restaurant, was for sure off that day, Ken checked. So where could he be? Well, signs were pointing to no good.
What's your son's name? David. I'm not sure about that blood. Tuesday. And some of the characters she hangs out with her. Pretty bad. In jail, drug use. I'm going to get a statement from you of kind of what happened, the time she left. I'd like to talk to your son too if we can find him, but I mean, there's blood there. What is here? Other people came and took Dave and his car. His wallet's still there, but his car's gone.
The last time Ken, had seen his son was the night before at around shortly after like 9 p.m. Ken popped the head into David's bedroom, said, "How are you? I'm heading off to bed. I'll be back, I'll see you tomorrow afternoon," because he knew again that his son David was up. He last saw Dave, he was in his room, just gaming away as he did. Ken then goes, he gets some kip. He wakes up then at about 3:30 a.m. off to start another day on the rig. He goes out to his car. He notices that David's car is still parked at home in the garage. So it's we can assume that David was at home when Ken was leaving that day, but then Ken returns home then, 11 hours later, nothing. That blood was certainly not there when Ken left. David was certainly there.
That looks like perhaps blood into the cracks. Can't imagine why he would see you drive anywhere without seeing his wallet. Here's his car information if you want to do a photo or something. Yeah.
Now, in David's bedroom, they noticed that the PlayStation, it was still on. The game's still running, it was just on pause. As if, David was in there, he was playing away when he had to get up and use the bathroom, get a sandwich. But then, done. But clearly seemed like David was expecting to come back. He ain't there.
And then, I don't know if he made it as far as the bedroom, but, he likes movies and video games. The TV's on with video games still on. I was thinking maybe you heard something. It came out. And so, this stuff's good. His phone should be over there, but his charger is. Here's where he puts his wallet, and it's still there.
His wallet, his ID's still there. His shoes, and David had like one pair in the home. Very odd. Regardless, either David had some horrible accident and had to drive himself to a hospital, or more likely, well, we will get there.
The thing is, he asked me about the iPad. So do you guys have another iPad, right? Yeah, we got 4 iPads. He asked you about one of the other Sunday, just yesterday. So that's what I thought maybe to the pawn shop.
After that initial first visit, police then left and they started searching around all the local pawn shops. As you've seen in the footage, maybe David had taken some items and tried to pawn them off. But it didn't seem likely. It seemed much more likely that something horrifying had happened here. Ken was also able to give the police all of the phone records, as himself and the son, they were on the same phone plan, but like pinging David's phone, it was in the home and then it was nowhere, like it was off. But they could see who David had last been in contact with. And it was his ex, it was Kelly. They'd spoken at about 3:30 a.m., which is right about the time when his dad had left for work, so David was assumedly still up then. And it seemed like David was expecting Kelly to come over. He was like, oh, hey, here I'm home alone. When are you coming over? Or I'm going to head to bed. Was it just for a talk or was it a booty call? But the conversation came to a sudden end. Now, whether it was a booty call or no, likely it is a or no. Because, well, get this. There was just some shit going on between David and Kelly. And it was pretty bad. They had just gone through this bitter-ass custody dispute over young Mariah. When had it ended, right? Let's just see here. Just like a few days earlier. See, Kelly wanted to take Mariah out of state and move to Wyoming. David said, how about no? And how about no one out? David was awarded full custody of their daughter. Like initially when they broke up, Kelly was given custody. Then David was given temporary custody and then he was awarded full custody. Kelly was not too keen on that. Police repeatedly returned to the Heisler home, and that's when a private detective showed up. And he himself was pretty curious about David being missing. He had a bad feeling.
I'm the private investigator on the case. Too bad. David? No, or the fellow with the white shirt. The extra. Yeah, the baby smile.
Cheers.
This is unusual. It's got my thing. If I had hair on my head, it'd be sticking out because this is the thing we feared. When were they in court? He got custody last Thursday.
This private detective had been working for David and the Heisler family to get evidence to show that Kelly ain't so fantastic after all. Pivotal in the custody proceedings, and the things he learned about Kelly and her roommates, Tammy and Francis, were actually worse than they feared. Especially Frank Hollywood, as he went by Kelly's sorta, maybe not boyfriend. And he was, as my old mother used to say, a real piece of shit who had a long-ass history of run-ins with the law for drug stealing, drug selling, drugs. I mean, look at him, Mr. Manson Lamps himself. He even made threats to David during the years-long custody battle, one that the private investigator would say were credible. At one point, David had to be escorted from work. That's how seriously they were taking what Hollywood himself was selling. And the Heisler family were like debating getting a security system set up for the home. They didn't have one by the time of what happened. Again, when something bad and unwilling happening to David. I mean, he was so chuffed right after winning full custody of his daughter. He was saving for an apartment for himself and his daughter, so there's no way in a million years he would have willingly leave. The police found a neighbor's CCTV of David's car leaving not long after Ken had left, and it looked like more than one person was inside. Whatever happened in the house, they didn't wait long after Ken left for work. Now, police spoke with Kelly, and those texts. Remember Kelly had been speaking with him that night? Well, she said the conversation suddenly ended because didn't she just fall asleep? But sure, they were just shooting a shite, like having a grand old time. No bitterness. Zero. But she said she was home all night with Tammy and asked Tammy, if you need confirmation. And David's gone missing. Sure, that's just classic Dave. He's actually a bit of a shithead. And he would abandon his daughter all the time. He's probably gone gambling to Las Vegas or something. He's actually a terrible guy and he should not have won custody. Okay.
Since he got custody of her, I've been on supervised visitation because they think that I'm coaching my daughter or they think that I'm going to take off with her. And I'm like, I'm just trying to be her mom. I've always been her mom. I've always taken very good care of her. Up until he took her, I was the sole provider for her. He owed me almost $4,000 in back child support when he took custody of her.
He owed you $4,000?
Mm-hmm. Debbie has been nonstop, just argue with me, constant conflict. At first, when he first took Mariah, the court said he couldn't even be there during my visits because they didn't want conflict for my daughter. Well, it's not him that has conflict with me, it's Debbie. Do they think just because I'm not with David anymore that I'm not worried about him, whatever? Of course I am. That's still the father of my daughter.
So my biggest concern here today is that each time an event goes by, so like David missed work, that's not normal. His phone's turned off. He left his wallet there. That's another indication.
Right.
Mariah came home yesterday. He's not there. These are three major events.
And see, that's
So we're
where I
concerned.
was just like, I understand that it's got us all like going, what the heck is going on?
Well, they're thinking the worst. You're thinking the worst.
Exactly, and they need to understand too that I'm going through turmoil on my own too, because we don't know where he's at or what happened. For all we know, somebody could come there for my daughter, you know? That's what's going through my head.
Given all of these little events, I think we now need to posture ourselves to look at maybe something horrible did happen to David.
Right.
So we need to start establishing a timeline, and also that means alibis.
Right.
So that's another reason why I'm here, is that I need to get your whereabouts, if you're willing to, is to detail some of these things that helps us either say, hey, look, maybe you did have something to do with it, or hey, look, she's super cooperative, she's giving us everything we've asked for.
Like, I'm just as confused with the same thing as everybody else, and I'm just as worried for David, for Mariah, for everybody that's involved. Like, Sunday morning, or Monday morning, early morning, he was texting my phone at like 3:30 in the morning, telling me that his dad went to work, showed me pictures of his dad's bedroom with his dad not in it,
That
garage
audio is
empty,
loud through the speaker.
and was trying to get me to go over that.
In
It's
your
not-
mind, why would you do that?
It's
I don't know. I was like, what the heck? Like, I was half asleep, and I texted him back and said, good. I don't remember sending the text because I was half asleep, but
Yeah, I see your comment. I don't know if the clicking is happening through the audio here, it's clear, but the little brain zaps, that's not from my audio. That is whoever, it happened on the recording. Like, I think this is a police recording or a police interview conversation. It's their audio is messed up, but I heard it too. Not us this time.
when I woke up Monday morning, I think it was around like 9:30 or 10, I called his phone,
The clicking.
and it rang a couple times and then went to voicemail. And I left him a voice message and said, hey, I got these texts from you at 3:30 in the morning. What the heck is that about? Call me back. I thought he was probably at work or something. He never called back. So I've been with my roommate the whole time.
Ma'am, what's your,
Her name's Tammy. She's right there.
What's your name? Tammy Freeman. So you've been with Tammy, she can vouch for you as
Yes.
having been here between the times that he's been missing.
Yes.
I'm asking you a hypothetical question. If someone were to have done something to David in your behalf, be it you maybe said something to someone and they decided to take matters into their own hands,
Right.
who would that have been?
Honestly, I have no idea. Like, I can't think
So
of
do you have like a boyfriend that you don't
No.
really want that follows you
Absolutely
around?
not.
The next day, Debbie posted on Facebook as the search for David just ramped up. This is one of the hardest posts ever. I'm sorry. I can't reach out to everyone individually. I love you all. Approximately 24 hours ago, we think someone broke into our home. There was very little taken, an iPad and some jewelry. But the most important thing taken was David. We don't know where he is. He is missing. His car gone and him. Many know I am in New York. My husband is at home. He came home from work and there was an open door to the garage and blood spatters, not large, from the point of entry into the house and the kitchen. His wallet and ID is still in his room, his PlayStation on pause. Police pinged his phone and it hasn't been on since yesterday morning. We are piecing things together. I will update as soon as I can. Keep him in your prayers. Send or prayer requests. We pray he walks through the door and it's all a mistake. Thank you all. If you see him, please contact the Santa Clara Police Department. He was last seen around 9:15 p.m. on Sunday, June 26th. He drives a black Saturn pictured below. No special markings. Please, 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 let's find him. Police continually returned to the Heisler home, and that's when Ken showed the police something else he had found. A cord, likely one you'd restrain a person with to kidnap them. It was found on the floor.
And his hair on that big, it's gonna be a lot. Like color electric tape.
take it with notice just in case. What are you thinking at this point? I'm gonna give David the whole David on his phone. After I talked to you last night, I did talk with Kelly, and she said that David was texting her that night and wanted her to come over. She
waited.
So the thing is,
we're contemplating that he opens the door, let her in, then you got this crazy street fluid guy that's standing around the corner, going around the door.
this was in the middle of the night, correct?
It would have had to been after 3:35.
Was he here when you left for work in the morning?
Yeah, because the car was here.
We have to look up evidence. Right, got it. There's not much going on. There's a lot of.
Police have one lead to go. David's car. It was missing. Either he took it or his abductors did. But David was still making payments on that car, and oftentimes, when you're still paying it off, the leaser would put a tracker on the car so you can't do a legger. David's car had been home in the early morning hours of the 27th. Then it next pinged shortly before 7 a.m., this time in Arizona, 3 hours south, practically like in the Grand Canyon, out in the desert. Now, there was no reason for David to go there, this way out in the middle of nowhere. Like, that was it. There were no more pings after that. Like, going out there, following the pings, or that, like, one or two pings that they actually got, it was unsuccessful. I mean, it can't be overstated how massive an area this place is. It's called the Arizona Strip. Probably called the Strip because, much like a stripper, there is nothing on top. It wouldn't be for a few days till the car was found. He disappeared June 27th. On July 1st, police got a call. It was in that area, dumped there. It looked completely empty though. No sign of David. Then they opened the trunk, and he was not there. Though they did find a spent bullet casing inside that car, a 9mm. But no blood spatter or anything as if somebody had been, shot inside the car. Now, during this time, his family and friends, they were organizing these massive searches all around Santa Clara in Utah. But again, good luck finding anybody out here. They were getting flyers. They were just trying to spread the word of missing David. But so far, they were completely coming up empty. Now, word, though, was spreading, and many people, Santa Clara, it's like 7,500 people right now. So everybody knows each other, right? And many people were very sure that Kelly must have had something to do. It was like a week, 2 weeks before he just vanishes, he'd been awarded full custody. Messages and some more messages. They came in. But it was one particular message they got from an unnamed source. Police have never said who it was. That really piqued their interest, because the message said, this message to the police said, they got him while he was playing some video games. Now, as you'll remember, the PlayStation was still on in the home. It was on pause. So that seems true. But this was not something the police ever said. They never released that the PlayStation was on when he something. That was enough for them to really take a hard look at Kelly and not take her word on it, on what she'd been doing and where she'd been the night her acrimonious ex vanished. Police actually got to her while she was in the courthouse, seeking guardianship of Mariah to take her from her grandparents. And police took her in for a second interview. And this is absolutely, it's gold, honestly.
Just so you know, you don't have to be here. There's a door if you'd like to go. Does that make sense? Okay. So the reason why we think that you need to be talked to is because you were the last person to text David on his phone. Mm-hmm. You're the mother of his child, and he's missing.
She was lying like a roach throughout the entire interview. Police did play good cop, letting her go out for a smoke, during which time she was likely furiously thinking of the next lie to tell. She said she spoke to Hollywood every day, when on her phone, they hadn't texted in a week. She'd been deleting texts.
You didn't delete any text messages on your phone?
No.
It's okay to text?
Yeah.
How often do you text and you think?
We text pretty much every day. We're constantly texting.
You deleted any of his texts off your phone in the last little while? So this is my concern when I talk about deleted messages. You said Frankie and you guys communicate all the time. You're constantly texting at least every day. In your phone and on Frankie, hasn't been a message in this phone until yesterday at 10:13 a.m. So that's almost an entire week you went without even sending him a message, not one time.
I don't know why they're not on my phone, because
I have no idea.
So would it be safe to say that Frank probably has somewhat of a little obsession with you?
I'm sure he has feelings for me. I wouldn't call it an obsession, but
If he gets physically upset when he sees that you're bothered,
if he sees me crying or like frustrated because of things that have happened at visits or whatever,
it angers him.
I mean, she couldn't even lie to cover up the shit she had done. Throughout the entire interview, she's consistently painting David as the bad guy, and I sure hope nothing happened to him. But if something did happen to him, maybe he deserved it.
Frank's a wild card in my mind with him, the feelings that he has for you in court, court insistence in the courts, everything that people say in the courts are heard. After the judge gave the ruling, he tells you he'll fix this. Why do you think he said that? He said, I will fix this. That's what he told me. I'll fix this.
I don't remember him saying that to me.
So
I'm at the court hearing for custody.
When the judge made the final ruling on June 13th,
I know he was saying a lot of stuff when we came out of the courtroom to David. Like he was
Like what?
like he was angry about the fact that David was getting custody and I was still gonna continue.
Really?
Yeah, like I was just like, will you just shut up and
No, tell us some of
what
the
did
things you
he say?
I'm trying to think exact words, but he was just like, as we were going down the stairs, he was saying stuff like, oh, the state's okay with you fucking touching your kids, but if you're convicted of drugs or some shit, I don't remember exactly, but he was like referring to the fact that my daughter had made accusations about her dad touching her and about her dad masturbating to pornography in front of her, and nothing was ever done about it. Like David kind of just like walked free and acted like he had done nothing wrong, even though my little girl is still traumatized over it. She still to this day talks about things that she saw in those videos that he was watching.
She was lying. Police knew none of that was true, but she was really acting like, hey, maybe don't investigate too hard into the man who's a predator, don't you know? And maybe if Hollywood did something to him, which he didn't, he deserved it. I'm the victim. I'm the good one. Please, Daddy, please.
I just don't know what battle you're fighting inside that you think you can't tell us what's going on.
So help us out. Tell us
What happened to David?
I don't know what happened to David.
What have you heard?
And the story slowly started to come out. I mean, it's sort of like you have to squint because you can't trust anything she says, but it came out in dribs and drabs.
Where is David?
I don't know. I don't know where he took him. He knocked on the door and Frank pushed me out of the way. He was trying to get David and David was fighting back and he dropped me off, right? I don't know what street was called on the freeway. And I don't know where he went after that. Frankie kept telling him that if he didn't cooperate, he was gonna kill both of us.
So you've told no one about this?
No.
Because I'll be honest with you, someone's telling someone, and people are continuing to call the police department.
I haven't said anything to anybody about it.
Any possibilities of maybe where Frank might have taken David?
I don't know, because I asked him, I said, where's David? He goes, you don't worry about it.
And if you can believe it, it was also Frank Hollywood's idea, definitely not hers, to get rid of David. She was texting David that morning, so she knew he would be alone in the house. Tammy drove them over, and Frank beat the crap out of him and put him in his own car. Then Kelly, Frank, and David left in David's car. They drove south towards the desert. Frank eventually kicked Kelly out of the car, Tammy picking her up. And then Frank left into parts unknown with David. She did not know what he did with him. Police then went to arrest Frank, who also kind of acts like a bit of a bitch during the arrest, honestly.
Sure, I'll take it off. I'm sorry.
This, though, is when the story gets even darker, learning what Hollywood did to David.
Don't stand up on my account.
Why not?
Another special. Have a seat. Frank, Francis, what would you like us to call you?
Right.
Tell us about the incident with David, you and Kelly. I don't mention that. Kelly's here too in the other room. I'm trying to heard her crying, just barely. We know that Kelly is kind of the mastermind behind this. She convinced you to go. No, she's not. Okay, so it's your idea then? No. Then whose idea was it? Help us out then. We know that you like Kelly.
Because he didn't take him out to the desert and shoot him, though he did have a gun. He didn't stab him or push him off a cliff. He did something that to me is even darker. Frank drove David out to the desert, out to the middle of this Arizona Strip area, took him to this lonely tree, tied him to that tree, put a pillowcase over David's head, and just left him there. Drove off then. David was alive when Hollywood left him.
Remember what exit you got off on?
I got off River Road.
Oh, okay, River Road. Okay, that River Road exit. Okay, I see what you're saying. And that road leads out to the Arizona Strip. It's a dirt road, right? Was Kelly with you still at this time? Tell us what happened out there when you got to wherever you were going to go.
I don't know how far away I was. It was still dark.
What happened then?
I don't know.
You just dropped him off there.
You just told him to get out of the car or what?
He was lying right when I left him.
So what did you think when you saw those flyers come up? David Heisler was missing. What did you think? What went through your head?
Everything goes in my head.
Like what? Oh fuck! I made a mistake.
Yeah, I got scared. I was thinking about going out there and start looking for him. And
That
that's what I should have done. No, I didn't kill him. This exposure got him. I did not kill him on purpose.
We're on day 8. It's average temperature of about 115. There's no water. Do the math, my friend.
The area he left David in is the Arizona Strip, 3 million acres of it. It's beautiful. The Grand Canyon is there too. It's red rock. It's straight out of a cowboy's fever dream. But as you can imagine, it gets very hot there, in late June especially so. Usually it's over 100 degrees, which is roughly 40 degrees Celsius. And Hollywood tied David to a tree with a pillowcase over his head and left him there. Police followed his directions and raced there to the exact tree he said he left him at. And they found it. They found sunglasses and a rope. But no David. He was nowhere to be seen. Police found all the things Kelly had deleted from her phone. She had Googled how to gain custody after the custodian is missing. They discussed the entire plan of what to do to David. They made plans that after they got rid of him to meet at a casino, which police found CCTV of. After Hollywood kicked Kelly out of the car and then drove off with David, Tammy picked Kelly up. They drove to the casino. Hollywood tied David to a tree and left him there instead of driving back to town, abandoned David's car, and then made his own way to the casino.
2 people are behind bars tonight in that case on charges of kidnapping. The man's ex-girlfriend and her boyfriend.
But David Heisler is still missing, and police believe foul play is involved.
Hope is fading for Heisler's family with the arrests of Francis McCard and Kelly Perry. Perry and Heisler have a daughter, and Heisler has custody. The young girl is currently with his parents. As the two are questioned by detectives, police say they made a disturbing disclosure.
And in that interview and process, they did admit to having knowledge and partaking or having taken part in his disappearance.
Police won't give specifics on if they are now investigating a homicide, as they continue to ask the public for help in solving the case.
Police arrested Frank and Kelly at that point, and Tammy too, by the way. But they still didn't know what happened to David. Like, his body wasn't found. Had he escaped? Had he been rescued? And just was recuperating, somewhere? It would be 6 weeks before they got that answer. On August 18th, a geologist out on the Arizona Strip, working for the Bureau of Land Management, came across skeletal remains. This was 5 miles from the tree that David had been tied to. It took about a week, but the remains were identified as those of David Heisler.
Officials found Heisler's body last night on the Arizona Strip near Mount Trumbull. Officials told the newspaper that they were able to identify the body because of clothing and other identifying elements. Now, Heisler had just gotten custody of his 6-year-old daughter 2 weeks before his disappearance. His body was found about 4 miles from where Heisler was reportedly left alive by one of the 3 suspects in the case.
And that is what makes this story so horrifying. The medical examiner would be able to determine that David, he escaped from the tree. He was able to undo those ropes and start walking, but he's in the middle of a 3 million acre death.
Do you remember when you remember when the fire stuff happened a few weeks ago? Power outage. And last night, I think, I called these karmic energies out. I said, you're playing with fire. You'll always lose. I'll always not play with fire. The fire trucks or the police cars were screaming by today. Yeah, they tried to come stir the pot again, energetically speaking, to backfire. Keep him safe though, please.
Red rock. He had no water, he had no shade, he had no shoes. So David just simply started walking. He made it 5 miles walking in the desert. And David survived for days out there. David Heisler was still alive by the time the search began for him. He was still breathing, just lost out in this inhospitable place. The medical examiner would determine that David passed away around June 30th, 3 days after he'd been left out there in the desert. He finally succumbed to exposure. That was what killed him out in this place where, I mean, nobody would ever find him. Actually, that's not true. That's actually a lie, because David Heisler's remains, they were found about 200 yards from a major road. David almost made it. If he had finally made it to that road, passerby, maybe a driver, would have seen him and saved him. But he didn't. He succumbed to the elements out there after being tied to a tree. I think that is absolute torture. And it also appeared that Kelly Perry and Frank Hollywood may not have even been in a relationship. Frank, it seems like, was obsessed with her, and told her he would fix what had been troubling her. The custody issues were hella troubling her. They'd even driven out to David's house the night before, but called it off as Frank was afraid there were others in the house, before returning the next night and following through. Kelly had been texting David, asking if he was alone. David had even sent Kelly pictures of every room in the house, proving he was alone that night, unwittingly signing his own death warrant. Frank went in, assaulted David, they stole items, they zip-tied David up, and put him in the car, then drove to the desert. Perhaps Hollywood only meant to scare him, but he did a lot more than that. Kelly, Frank, and Tammy were all charged in this case. Kelly and Frank as being the ones responsible, kidnapping resulting in murder. Tammy as the driver and part of the plot. Kelly took a plea deal and was sentenced to 35 years in prison. Frank Hollywood McCard also pled guilty and in 2019 was sentenced to 75 years in prison. Tammy, as the getaway driver, was sentenced to 15, but was out after 3 and is currently on
To
parole.
ensure justice for their son, they are now raising their granddaughter.
And that is the end of that chapter. It's a pretty messed up case of lies, of narcissists, and of murder. I mean, what? Maybe he didn't intend for David to die, but I mean, leaving somebody out in the middle of a 100-degree desert with nothing to survive on is a sure way to accomplish what you didn't intend. And I mean, Kelly must have known. She would lie, saying, "Oh, I don't know what Frank beats me, whatever Frank did with him." Yeah, bullshit. She definitely knew, like, what they didn't talk about it. Of course they did. Was it just, like, to try and scare him? I mean, we're not making a Western over here. But I guess in their mind, they were. And maybe, like Tuco coming out of the desert, David would make it. But this is real life, and he didn't make it. And that was a horrible way for them to murder him, which is exactly what they were convicted of. Thank you so much for watching this whole video, folks. Appreciate you being here. It means a lot to me, as always. If you're looking for some more that chapter, why don't you check out the Patreon? Right? It's $2 a month. You get early access, ad-free, all videos. There's Patreon.
Yeah, remember I told you. A lot of these people, these delusional karmics, they start trying to bully people and run their lives like it's a scene out of what are those? What's the show that has the character named Negan in it? Outlaws or something like that, or the zombie movie, Walking. I was like, no, dude. Or they start trying to behave like Vikings and cutthroat and I'm gonna take your castle. And we're not in the Middle Ages though, and there are law structures set in place now that were not there then. So whether you're just trying to follow a movie and you've got a weird little vendetta in your head, or you're subconsciously playing out a past life wound or toxic cycle that you haven't grown from, karmics, either way it's a problem, and it is your problem. Reject it. Anyway. No, hold on. Yes, The Walking Dead. But what's the other one? Negan. Is it The Walking Dead? Yeah, there's that one. No, there's another one though. It's like what is it called? It's like I want to say it's Outlaws, but I don't think it is. It's Sons of Anarchy. That's what it is. And I know some of them watch that, and I know some of them, like, they get this delusion in their head, like they're in the movie, or like the movie's real life, or like that they can treat people like that in real life. No, dude. It's delusional. And it gets them in trouble. It's not a movie, it's real life. Yeah, good. Good. Power outage. Good. Glad it was resolved. Thank you. I was hearing this song.
Watch my life pass me by in the rearview mirror. Pictures frozen in time are becoming clearer. I don't wanna waste another day stuck in the shadow of my mistakes. Yeah, 'cause I want you. What's left of this rain? Make me whole once again. Crawling underneath my skin. Find a place in there.
It's been a long time since I've heard that song. Hear this.
I'm trying to tell you, 100 times, love can kill you, make you cry. I'm not the monster, do you feel? I'm just the voices inside your head. Some days we make one separate breathe. Take the best of me, when she's underneath the table. To be the best of me. So kiss me with your marijuana breath. I can be a cure for loneliness. A little something to help you forget. Kiss me with your marijuana breath. I can be a cure for loneliness. A little something to help you forget. I can be a truthful only now. A little something to help you forget. Kiss me with a little on the ground. I can be a truthful only now. A little something to help you forget.
And Shira, sweet dreams, my darlings. Grand rising for those on the flip side, and happy in between for those on the interim. Rest well. Take good care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one. Sending some Reiki on the outro and some shields. (122) Be well.